Welcome to Griffin's Gaming Guide. In this video we're going to take you through all 10 license tests that make up the super license in Gran Turismo 7. And if these guides help you out, maybe click the subscribe button. Now the super license is the final license that you can earn in Gran Turismo 7, and it will open up the final events in the main game. And before you can access the super license test, you need to have already completed the 4 previous main tests in the game. Obviously the National B, National A, International B and International A licenses. You'll find links for all of those guides down in the description, so check them out if you need them, and then come back here once you're ready to start kicking off for your super license. So for the first license, which will be your S1, you need to do a full lap of the high-speed ring in a Lamborghini Aventador LP750-4 SV 2015, and to get the gold, you need to do it in less than 1 minute 12.1 seconds. From the start of the test, you want to position the car to the right of the track as you approach the banked turn 1. Keep to the right for the first half of this turn, then steer sharply into the apex of the corner whilst still at full throttle. Once the apex has been navigated, let the car return to the outside of the track. Try not to scrub off too much speed as you approach turn 2. Brake heavily just before the 200 metre board and do your best to keep the car in a straight line under deceleration and keep the car to the right of the track. Keep the brake on until the corner marker indicator, then apply full throttle again and keep the car to the right as you see the bridge in the distance. Now move the car to the left whilst on the bridge and apply heavy braking just after the 100 metre board. Keep braking and keep to the left, then pump the throttle gently whilst you navigate the right corner. Briefly apply full throttle, then coast around the left hand corner before applying full throttle 75% of the way around this turn and keep to the right as you enter the tunnel. Move the car to the left of the track in the tunnel, and then after the tunnel exit, alter the car to the right of the penultimate corner while still keeping flat out. Apply moderate braking around the 100 metre board and apply full throttle, trying to control the slide of the car around 25 to 30% of the way around the final corner. And finally, move the car to the inside line and cross the finishing line to hopefully secure your gold time. License S2 will have you driving a Ferrari F50 1995 around the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. And to get the gold time, you need to do this in a time of less than 2 minutes 2.3 seconds. From the start of the test, move the car to the left of the track and brake heavily at a small service road that leads off to the left around the 250 metre point from the corner. Keep braking and remain to the left all the way into this tight chicane. Release the brake and coast as you turn into the first part of the chicane and keep coasting. Pump the throttle around the left hand corner and apply full throttle just before the corner marker that ends the corner. Move the car into the middle of the track and then turn into the next corner, keeping the car in the middle of the track, and halfway around the corner move the car back to the inside line as you approach the next chicane. Brake heavily at the 200 metre board and keep the car to the right of the track. Release the brake just as you turn into the left corner and pump the throttle through the right corner, then apply full throttle on the exit. Now keep to the left and brake moderately around the 75 metre point from the corner. Release the brake just as you turn for the corner and pump the throttle before applying full throttle on the exit, moving the car to the left for the next corner. Brake moderately at the 75 metre mark to scrub the speed off and turn the corner, applying full throttle on the exit. Now hug the left side of the track as you navigate the next corner before moving back to the right of the track for the next corner. Go under the bridge and brake heavily at the 200 metre board. Release the brake as you turn the corner and then pump the throttle as you go through the section of right and left corners. Apply full throttle on the exit and move the car to the left of the straight as you approach the final corner. Brake heavily around the 130 metre mark and then turn into the corner to clip the inside line, which for me I didn't quite do correctly, and apply full throttle before allowing the car to move to the outside of the track to maintain maximum speed on the exit of the corner. Cross the finishing line to hopefully be able to secure your gold time. License S3 will see you driving the Nissan Silvia Spec R Aero S15 touring car around the Tsukuba circuit, and in order to get the gold time for this one, you need to do a full lap in less than a minute. From the start of the test, move the car into the middle of the track and brake heavily as you're parallel with the corner marker indicator on the left. Release the brake about halfway around the corner and pump the throttle before applying full throttle around 75% of the way around the corner. Straight line the chicane as best as you can and apply heavy braking just after the exit of the chicane. Keep braking and steer the car into the left hand corner, releasing the brake halfway round and apply full throttle around 75% of the way around this corner. Keep to the middle of the track and then steer left and release the throttle, tapping the brakes at the point where the orange and white sections of the barrier meet on the left hand side. Apply full throttle as you cross under the Dunlop bridge and follow the racing line as you turn the left corner and approach the U-turn in the distance. Brake heavily at the corner marker on the left of the track and brake into the corner. Coast your way around 75% of the corner before applying full throttle and keeping left down the next straight. Heading into the final corner, brake moderately at the pit entry marker on the right. Keep on the brakes until 25% of the corner has been navigated. Now coast and reapply the throttle around 50% of the way around. Move the car to the left of the track as you keep on full throttle to cross the finishing line. License test S4 will see you take the Toyota Supra GT500 1997 around the Tokyo Expressway south counterclockwise, and in order to get the goal time you need to do a full lap in less than 2 minutes. From the start of the test, steer to the left to take the first corner and then steer to the right, braking slightly at the 75 metre mark. Coast and reapply full throttle about 33% of the way around the corner and then drive the car through the downhill bit at full throttle. The track will climb back up and you want to brake heavily at the 125 metre point, then pump the throttle, keeping the car on the racing line around the series of 90-degree corners. Apply full throttle at the left hand corner and then keep to the left of the track. Brake slightly at the corner marker indicator on the left and then instantly apply full throttle to keep your momentum going. Drive the car at full throttle whilst observing the racing line through the tunnel section, and when you reach the sharp right hand corner, this is your time to keep to the left of the track as you approach the next U-turn. Brake heavily at the 150 metre board and keep on the brakes while steering into the right hand U-turn. Let the car coast around this entire corner and apply full throttle at the advertising boards on the left side of the track. Keep at full throttle and steer the car through a small uphill section, keeping to the left. Release the throttle and brake slightly just after the 50 metre board, but don't brake too hard as you want to keep your momentum going. Now lift the throttle and tap the brakes through the left and right sections. On your approach to the final corner, keep to the right, braking slightly at the corner marker indicator on the right before applying full throttle to cross the finishing line. License S5 will see you go around the Sardinia Windmill Circuit in the Toyota GR Yaris RZ High Performance 2020 model, and in order to get the goal time you need to do this in a time of less than 1 minute 25.8 seconds. Now whilst you're driving the GR Yaris around the Sardinia Windmill course, as it's a dirt course, your only real limits you need to worry about are the barriers. So from the test start, drive the car as straight as possible through the right and left chicane with only a lift of throttle between the corners. Now you will go over a jump, so after this move the car to the left of the track and take the sweeping right hand corner as fast as you can before coasting a few metres rather than applying the brakes. Now get the car stable again and use full throttle before braking moderately to get around the next corner on the inside line, then move the car to the outside of the track to decrease the angle as you start to climb uphill again. Keep the car to the right and apply heavy braking, followed by turning the car to the inside of the track before applying full throttle, trying not to cause the car to drift as traction is important as you go under the Gran Turismo bridge in the distance. The next section is completely flat out, and do your best to take each corner as flat out as possible and not oversteer the car as this loses momentum. Then keep the car in the middle of the track for some heavy braking when you come across the only windmill shadow on the track. Whilst braking, steer the car to the inside of the corner and then take the next section of the 3 corners as straight as possible, pumping the throttle only whilst turning to stop the car spinning out too much. On the final uphill left-hand corner, brake moderately to keep the car on the inside line and apply full throttle, keeping to the middle of the track. Brake slightly around the last corner, but be aware of a big jump in the road, so apply heavy but brief braking to keep the car stable over the jump before applying full throttle to cross the finishing line at full tilt. Licence S6 will have you in the Ford Shelby GT350R 2016 around the trial mountain circuit for a full lap, which, if you're going for gold, needs to be completed in a time of less than 2 minutes and 15 seconds. From the start of the test, keep to the right and brake moderately at the point where the steel barrier turns into an orange concrete barrier, and then steer the car into the corner and release the brake once at the apex. Pump the throttle around the next couple of corners to maintain the racing line as best as possible, then apply full throttle as you approach the tunnel in the distance. Keep to the middle of the track and brake heavily once you cross the tunnel shadow. Keep braking until halfway round the corner. Pump the throttle and then apply full throttle once you're out of the tunnel and aim the car to the left of the track. Brake heavily just after the painted curb starts on the left hand side and keep left. Brake all the way into the corner and apply the throttle only after passing the apex corner marker point. Now hug the left side of the track and straight line the chicane as best as possible. Lift and coast halfway around the chicane before steering to the right and applying full throttle. Enter the tunnel and lift the throttle, braking slightly before reapplying the throttle, then keep to the right of the long back straight. As you approach the corner that ends the back straight, the shadows of some of the bigger trees cross the track. Brake heavily with only 3 of these shadows left and keep the car in the middle of the track. Do this before turning into the apex while still braking. Now after the apex is cleared, release the brake and apply the throttle, steering the car to the left for the approaching corners. Lift and coast through the right and left corner before applying moderate braking and applying full throttle as soon as you can. The track will now go downhill and your braking point is the orange barrier on the right of the track. Apply heavy braking and steer into the corner before applying full throttle on the corner exit. Keep to the right as the track has a small right turn and brake heavily just after you go under a bridge. Keep braking all the way to the corner and keeping right, turning for the corner at the very last moment. Pump the throttle and turn left to decrease the angle for the last corner and brake moderately around the last corner before applying full throttle to cross the finishing line. Licence S7 will see you take the Dallara SF19 Super Formula Honda 2019 around the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and if you're looking for the gold time, you need to do this in a time of less than 1 minute 7.4 seconds. So to get this one done, from the start line, hug the left hand corner, and you can, once the track turns massively, cut this corner, so do that before veering the car back to the right. Brake heavily just after the 3 marker board and brake into the corner. Release the brake and coast for a few metres before applying full throttle and steer to the left for the next corner. Tap the brake at the 1 corner board and then coast into the corner before applying full throttle halfway around the corner. Keep to the left and at full throttle just lift ever so slightly. The aero will keep the car on the track. Move the car to the right and go under the red bridge, tapping the brake at the 2 corner board. Let the car coast around 75% of the corner, then apply full throttle, keeping to the right. Again, at the 2 corner board, tap the brake and coast around the corner, applying full throttle at the apex point. Now head up the hill in the middle of the track and brake heavily at the corner marker indicator and keep braking until you need to turn left. Turn left and coast down the first part of the hill before applying full throttle, taking the right corner. Keep to the right and then perform a sweeping action of the next corner with only a slight lift of the throttle at the apex point. Move the car to the left and lift the throttle with a minor tap of the brake, taking the corner. Steer the car to the right of the track and brake heavily just after the 3 corner marker. Release the brakes at the apex of the corner and coast for a few metres before applying full throttle to cross the finishing line. License S8 will have you taking the Pagani Zonda R 2009 around the Autodromo de Interlagos, and in order to get the gold time you need to do a full lap in less than 1 minute 32.9 seconds. From the start of the test, keep to the right and brake heavily at the 100 metre board and keep braking into the first corner. Lift and coast, applying a small amount of throttle, and then lift and coast around the right and left hand corners. Apply full throttle at 33% of the way around the left corner, and then move the car to the right of the track down the straight. Brake moderately at the green marshal post on the right hand side of the track, and then lift and coast around 75% of this corner before applying full throttle. Take the small left corner and at full throttle keep to the right, then move the car to the left and brake moderately at the 75 metre point. Release the brake at the apex point and then apply small throttle before lifting and keep a tight line around the corner. Move to the left and brake moderately just before the advertising boards on the left. Coast around this corner before applying a squirt of throttle, and then coast around the left hand corner before applying full throttle halfway round the corner. Follow the racing line, then brake just as you reach the advertising boards on the left. Then brake heavily into the corner, which unlike me, and apply full throttle, taking the next corner by pumping the throttle. Keep right and brake about the 75 metre point, applying full throttle on the exit of the corner. Now apply full throttle and steer the car around the corners as you climb up the hill before crossing the finishing line. License S9 will see you take the Nissan GT-R GT500 2008 around the Deep Forest Raceway, and in order to get the gold you need to do a full lap in less than 1 minute 24.4 seconds. From the start line, keep to the right and brake moderately when the metal safety fencing ends, and keep braking whilst you turn into the corner. Release the brake and apply full throttle around 50% of the way around the corner, and then keep to the middle of the track and take the first part of the left-right sequence flat out. Coast around the second corner, tapping the brakes just to keep the car stable, then give it a squirt of full throttle before cutting the left corner as much as you can, giving it a tap of the brakes. Now coast around the right hand corner, keeping as tight to the inside line as you can, applying full throttle just before you enter the tunnel whilst keeping to the left. Brake moderately whilst keeping a tight line around the next corner and apply full throttle again just as you enter the next tunnel. Keep to the left, and after the first half of the next chicane, lift on the throttle and brake lightly to scrub off just enough speed to get around the corner. Apply full throttle and brake moderately on the light grey section of tarmac whilst keeping to the right. Coast around the next corner and apply full throttle when you can. Stick to the racing line down the winding back straight whilst at full throttle, then heading into the corner, keep to the right and brake heavily at the 100 metre board. Keep braking and steer into the corner before releasing the brake and letting the car coast. Apply full throttle when you can and follow the racing line whilst at full throttle to cross the finishing line, hopefully securing your gold time. For license S10, you need to drive the Porsche 917K 1970 around the circuit of Spa-Francorchamps, and if you're going for gold, you need to do it in a time of less than 2 minutes and 26 seconds. This entire test has a dry racing line and wet section, so avoid the wet sections at all costs. Then from the start, move to the left and brake heavily just before the 100 metre board. Keep braking into the corner, then coast around the corner and apply full throttle when the car is around the corner. Head downhill and move to the right when you can for the next sequence of corners. Steer to the left of the uphill section and brake moderately at the corner marker indicator on the left. Coast up the right side of this corner and pump the throttle until you can apply full throttle without spinning the wheels up too much. Stay to the middle of the track for the next section and down the straight. Brake heavily just before the 150 metre board and steer the car into the corner whilst pumping the throttle, and do this around the left corner as well before applying full throttle when you can. Release the throttle just before the corner marker indicator on the right and tap the brakes, then coast around the right hand corner before applying full throttle again. Brake heavily at the 100 metre board on the right and pump the throttle whilst keeping the car tight to the inside of the track. Apply full throttle and brake slightly before cutting the left corner and applying full throttle on the downhill straight. Brake heavily at the 50 metre board on the right and coast around the first part of the long left hand corner and pump the throttle to gradually build up speed, but be aware too much will make the car unstable. When back at full throttle, keep to the left and brake heavily at the 100 metre board on the left and then turn the car into the right corner. Pump the throttle to keep your speed up and turn the left corner before applying full throttle. Brake heavily just after going under a metal bridge structure and turn the corner before a squirt of throttle and then coasting around the second right hand corner. Apply full throttle and follow the dry line as you go under a metal bridge with the Spa-Francorchamps logo on it. Release the throttle and then tap the brake before turning into the corner and apply full throttle again. Then release the throttle and give a moderate amount of brakes to the next fast left hand corner before full throttling again and steer the car over to the left. Brake just before the 150 metre board and coast around this final chicane before straightening the car up to apply full throttle to allow you to cross the finishing line. So that's how to complete all 10 licenses with gold times in Gran Turismo 7 Super License. I do hope that this guide has helped you out. If it has, give the like button a click. It won't even cost you anything. Let me know down in the comments what your best or worst of the 10 license tests were that make up your super license, and then whilst you're down there you're going to find a little red button that says subscribe. If you want to support the channel and help us grow, give it a click, then press the notification bell next to it, that way you won't miss out on any of our future uploads. You guys take care of yourselves and we look forward to seeing you back here at Griffin's Gaming Guides.